Hey guys, Jeff at MACkite.
And Tucker.
And we're excited today to, I believe, unveil, probably not new to everyone, but a board called the Waka. And I'm going to take us back here a little bit. I think it was in January. The Waka popped up on either my email or a feed, you know, on
Might
social.
have been a little earlier than that.
Maybe December. I don't remember, but it was early mornings. I just got to work, and I don't know where it popped up. Maybe in one of my feeds or something. And I'm like,
Yeah, check this out.
It got my attention. A board that you can fold in half. Now, that is not something that's brand new to us, the sport of water sports. We know that there's split boards for kiteboarding.
Yep. There's been split boards for windsurfing, paddleboarding, surfing for decades.
Yep.
But
and
never quite perfect.
No.
Yeah.
And so I saw it and I was like, this might be worth looking at. So
yeah, I remember you sent it to me and I was like, oh, another, gimmicky idea.
Yeah,
it's
no,
probably
I did.
heavy.
Yeah.
The design probably sucks. It's probably expensive. It's probably this huge compromise that, maybe it works okay, but it's not going to be a board you really want to ride.
Well, that might have been your initial response, but I do remember sending it to you. But you were like, maybe worth a look.
Always worth looking into, and you get
Yeah.
a fresh new idea. Like, it might be junk, it might be great, and we'll bring you.
But bring it up to speed here, all the way up to about 2 weeks ago, we did bring it into the shop, and thanks to you, Tuck, doing a lot of leg work. Organizing everything to get some demos here and to get Nigel in from Waka. And here we are, post 3 weeks, we've got to ride the board.
Yeah.
And now I have to say,
for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, a couple weeks now we've been able to ride the board, and I think they've done a nice job. Marketing obviously caught my attention because we do see, when you're in the industry, you see things that pop up, things that that may grab your attention. But this one, I think, the quality, the build, the look, which we'll get into here in a little bit, caught enough our attention that I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah, pretty amped is kind of the moral of the story here, but let's get into some of the details of why we're amped, I guess. Give you guys a quick look here. How might you travel with this thing? Well, they've thought of that. This is the travel bag. This one doesn't come included with the board, but it's available as a purchase. And what this gives you is extra space to pack the rest of your gear, whether it's foils, wings, kites, whatever you're bringing that you might want to pack along with your board. Because if you're reaching a 50 or 60 pound threshold, the board's quite light, so you can pack this thing pretty good with additional accessories. And then it is a rolling bag, so that's a benefit as well. So let's pop this open.
Yeah, I was going to say, while we're doing that, I will accentuate the fact that this board is extremely light.
So that's kind of how it fits in there. You've got an extra, 6 inches of space, maybe 8 if you bullet on top of it. Pull that dog out.
I mean, I have been lifting weights, but this is super light.
Even with
I can put my hand
with the bag.
Look at this. I mean, I'm not even straining. This is amazing.
Yeah, I haven't put a weight on it yet, but I'm guessing maybe around 12 pounds, maybe 13 pounds, depending on the size.
And the bag that it comes with for just, daily use, some of you might think you could travel with this. Maybe
I would.
You could, yeah. I mean, if you add maybe a little bit of cushion.
It's got 10 millimeters of padding, which is more than most travel bags typically have. It's super light, it's well built, it's robust, it's a sidewall bag. You do have a foil slot. This backpack strap is the key for me. It's super comfortable to carry around, so I could easily sling this over my back and carry it 10 miles if I wanted to. But needless to say, it's easy to carry through an airport or out to a rental car or out
When's the last time
out a rental complex to go ride, maybe a mile away. Pretty easy stuff.
When have you hiked over a mile?
I don't remember. It's been a minute, but I could.
Okay, all right.
Assuming my endurance would allow me, that is. So again, quality bag, custom fit for each size. What we have here is the 88 liter.
And I rode the 77.
And again, this thing is crazy light.
Yeah.
Like as compared to it, you'd expect a folding board to be heavier than average. This board is lighter than most boards in the market, even carbon boards. And that just goes to show the quality of the construction, the quality of design, but also part of it, it doesn't have foot strap holes. I'm okay with that with this kind of a shape. I'm okay with that with a folding board. I think if you're going on pro tour, doing backflips and stuff, you know, you might not want a folding board. You probably just want to travel with a normal board.
Yep.
But who knows? Maybe in the future we'll see that.
And as we're hitting just
it's the surfy design, so you want to be able to move your feet.
some of the characteristics as we're just, when I first saw the board, you know, I wanted to like put my thumb on it, push on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's so light.
That was
You
my
know,
first thought too. Like,
I'm thinking,
ooh, it's really light. Is it too light?
Oftentimes, real quick, you know, I like to go to the nose area and just go.
do one of these. Yeah,
But there's no, I don't feel any.
it's solid. Yeah.
Very solid construction. A side note, don't drop a screwdriver straight on it though. I did.
Yeah, same goes to say with any full
transparency.
carbon construction, carbon isn't the best with regard to impact. It is easy to repair on these boards because it's a high density, EPS core, so there's no sandwich or anything going on with weird materials or bamboo or anything. So it's really easy to repair, but yeah, it's carbon, so impact resistance isn't always as fantastic, which everybody kind of already knows.
Yeah.
You know, carbon
Yeah,
boards
but
require more care.
I have to say, you know, because of its lightness and the design, it's, like I said, the feel and the robustness. I've had it in and out of my car now half a dozen times, been around, walked around with it.
Yeah, I was mean to it on purpose.
I can sense that.
I wasn't going to be nice.
I can see you got a few little, we call that being tuckified here in the
That's
shop.
right.
But that's all right. That's all right.
You got to test gear properly, Mr. Jeff.
Yeah,
You can't
yeah.
be nice to it.
So we're really going to try to focus on what we felt after riding it. I know there's been a lot of videos about the design, but we've touched on it. Light. I think they did nail the dimensions quite well with their different leaders in regards to length versus width versus another important one.
Thickness, yeah.
Thickness.
They didn't go too thick. They could have easily.
They did not.
And they'd
go
be tempted
too thick.
to on a board like this. Like, oh, we could sheet off a couple of inches of length, make it thicker, you know, and this and that. And no, I think they got the dimensions right, just like you said. The hinge, you know, people are going to be worried about the durability of this. It's been tested for 1 million folds, so you'll probably never hit the limit of these hinges within your lifetime. That's not to say that you should take a razor blade and slash at it. Don't do that. But the hinge is proven. The screw setup obviously is proven. It's not gimmicky. You know it's going to work. It's easy to find screws to replace them if you've managed to lose one in transit. In fact, I would encourage you just hole some away random places. You know, with your foil screws and stuff, it's always a good idea traveling.
Yep, there's 3 screws. I would say
M8.
Yep, M8 by 20.
30?
Probably
25 or
28,
30 somewhere.
right around there. Yep.
Yep.
Got 2 on the sides, 1 underneath, right in the center. I did assemble mine prior to going to the beach. If you're going to assemble it in the parking lot, I would suggest it on the pavement because you can easily drop into the sand.
Yeah, and you don't want sand in between the hinge either. When you tighten that up, that's one of the things you really want to avoid with this board is getting any kind of crap in the hinge, in between those 2 sandwich layers when they're coming together, because it is gonna, you know, grind and kind of do its thing in there and mar it up. So make sure that's clean, wipe it off, blow it off before assembling.
Yeah,
and
I would call that
should be good
common
to go.
sense too. And when you have a board of this, you know, this nice of a board of construction and performance with a hinge in it, yeah, you want to make sure that area is cleaned out and when you put it together. But yeah, carrying a few extra screws could be helpful in that. While we're on that topic, again, totally blown away by the product when I saw it. And before even getting on the water, everything was exciting about the board, the lightness, the shape. You know, I feel like they've been maybe watching some of our videos that we do like little boards that are not really quirky, got the right ratio to length to width in their boards. And so, but when I was putting it together with the tool that comes with it, which kudos to them for having the tool, it did take me a while because when you're trying to use the ratchet, it keeps hitting the side of the board and it just takes forever.
Yeah, they go straight this way, and then with these cavities, you can't get a full turn on the screw with the wrench. And I think he's working on maybe a special tool for it, but it's not a big deal if you're doing it once for a trip. No. But it's kind of a pain if you're doing it every day. If you're somebody that maybe has a small car or a small apartment and you're using it for this, every single session, putting it together, taking it apart, putting it together, taking it apart, a little annoying. So I think having the screws at an angle maybe in a future version would be nice. Or just coming out with some kind of a ratchet.
Quickly just ratchet it together.
I think, what Torx on the end of a ratchet would be, probably the best, easiest, quickest way to put it together. And go ahead and have fun. So looking at more stuff on this, the traction pad is one unique thing as well. It's inset in the board. So most boards are just flat, traction pad goes on top, traction pad's a little higher. This is actually inset in the board. It seems like kind of a weird thing to do, but when it folds, you want it to fold flat on itself. Then you got this kicktail. That keeps it from banging and grinding against itself. So you can see, you can kind of do one of those. And the pad helps with that. It's also a nice little kicktail to reference where your foot is.
Safety alert. Very important when you're bringing the board down like this. Keep your fingers and digits out of this area.
Don't let your toddler play with your folding board because they'll smash their fingers for sure.
That could be an issue. There is force there. It'd be like slamming your finger in a door.
Yep.
So just be aware of that. Haven't done it yet, but we don't want any of you to do that.
It could hurt for sure. The boards are clearly labeled with their size. Got this nice reference line down the middle on the traction pad. Initially, I thought this traction pad might be a little too hard.
Agree.
It's a dual density traction pad, but I gotta tell you, I rode it in 42-degree water with some old crappy booties the other day, and it was still grippy. So I'm cool. I think it's great. Initially, that was my thought. That was maybe a little too hard for cold water, but I didn't have an issue.
Nope. In my experience, I've ridden it with booties, without booties. The first time I rode this board was on a downwinder from...
Bold move.
Yeah, it was a bold move. A downwinder from Muskegon all the way to Grand Haven. Played around up the pier.
Yeah, it's what, 28, 30 miles?
Just 30 miles on this board.
Yeah.
I put my faith in it on a downwind. It was kind of like shoulder high, maybe occasionally a little over shoulder high wave. I'll tell them, we'll talk a little more about my experience with the board on the downwinder, but with the pad, no issue with the booties. And I've also had them on with no booties. I didn't get foot fatigue or anything like that. It didn't feel slippery. I think they just, I don't know if it's the way that it's designed, but it didn't affect me at all. But I thought the same thing. It just seemed a little minimalistic. Thought maybe it might be a little rough. But
it's comfortable. With your side saddle, did you find the rail here is kind of uncomfortable?
He likes to bring up the side saddle. Yeah,
I mean, some people do it, so it's something to think about.
That means when you get on the board, I don't get on and have set my knees facing towards the nose. I come in from the side and then angle onto it. No issues.
Good.
We're wearing a
That was my thought, with the hard rail and this kind of, inset, it might bang at your shins a little bit.
Nope, and because I tan so well, right, because I'm so white, I wear neoprene all year long, but that does help as well. But no, I didn't have any issues with getting on the side. Another thing to note, on the pad, they do have the size in the middle there and the word glide there. Initially I thought, I understand why it's there. It's because it's part of the folding mechanism and the screw mechanism. But actually I use that as a frame of reference.
Yeah, same. I found my knees kind of up in here. It was really comfortable. These little pad areas almost tell you, hey, this is where you want to put your shins. And it's super comfy. It keeps out of the way of your knees, but it's also not back here by your feet.
No.
It's placed really nicely within the volume of the board and where it likes to balance, where it doesn't get in your way. It's kind of it's flush, but it's hard. You wouldn't want to put your knees on it.
Nope.
So it's nice that they end up here.
And another thing I like about it, with an all black board with a black pad, you can get a little lost on the board initially. So this is kind of a reference point.
Yeah, and the orange line too is a
so
nice
I found my feet to be like my front foot a little bit right in here and my back foot over here. So it gave me, initially when I first got on it, I was able to find my foot placement on it pretty quickly. Yeah. Of course, this all depends on where you put your plate.
Foil. Yeah, I was a little further forward than you were, but I probably had my foil a little further forward,
Yeah, so I was, I use that as a frame of reference when we're talking about the pad. I thought it was good. So We might as well dive into our experience on the board. Like I said, my first experience, I put it together in the parking lot. Before I could even get it in the water, all the local guys that were there were like, what do you got here?
Yeah, and on that note, we'll show you guys the bottom here real quick. We have a handle that doubles as your screw port here. Well, nice long tracks, drop slots here, make it really easy just to get everything in. Kind of standard mid-length shape, little bit of hole here with this kind of diamond shape, which works well. Yeah, and these tines kind of flatten out through the tail to give you a bit more lift and release off the tail. We do have the Waka code here to scan with your phone. That'll help you register your board with your address and everything in case it ever gets lost. Somebody can scan that, get a hold of you to get it to you. And again, so that's kind of cool.
And again, they have this little ridge here. It is because of the design of the board. So the screw, this is the third screw that you put in the board that gives it that space, and that's kind of why that was here. I did ask that when they were here.
Yeah, it also gives you a little bit of direction. I mean, having this V shape, this tiny V shape, is almost like a ridge or a channel, the opposite of a channel, I guess, a peak. So it acts like a hole, but it also gives you that kind of forward projection and drive. So especially in light winds, you know, these more vertical hard rails than that will give you a little bit more drive and direction and a bit more traction into the wind, so you're not sliding downwind when you're trying to build that apparent wind. So initially I thought, this board might be a little tracky for me and kind of, but it's really great. I don't have any complaints about it. I have minimal notes on my part, even though, you know, initially I thought, the design could use a tweak, but it's fantastic on the water. I have no complaints, so
I agree.
I take it all back.
I had some of the same thoughts too. That's a good segue. I'll hold on my downwind experience. After a downwind on this board, I did do a light wind day. It was blowing like 11 to 14 knots, and I was on the 77 liter, and I found this to pop up with ease.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't, like you said, I didn't feel like it tracked. I do like a board in light wind that I'm able to, maneuver a little bit to get where that wind needs to go, not like stand down and feel like it's just set in its path, because you want to optimize the angle and the wind to get up and pump to get up on foil.
Yep.
So I was very impressed with the speed and stability. I think were two things that I felt this board had in that light conditions when I got up on it. I have been riding a lot of boards with this shape around 70 liter to 60 liter. So 77 with a little bit more literage, could have been part of that extra stability that maybe I'm not accustomed to. But I haven't ridden, and I've ridden a few 80 liter in this size. But I think this had a good, should I say, stability to liters. And it's 6 foot, I believe the 77 is, give or take. So I felt it was stable and it got up to speed quite well in light winds. So
same.
That checked off a box for me.
I rode in light wind. I rode it in high wind. I rode it with a pair wing underpowered. I came off of a 4, brought a 4 at first because I was on the 77, the 88, and I was like, I'm pretty well powered on the 4 too. I wonder if I can make a 3 work. And this was in like 20. I mean, I wasn't lit by any means. I grabbed a 3 meter pocket rocket and was able to get this up stupid easy. Like, I wouldn't be able to get most boards up, but I was able to get this up, and it's only 88 liters. It's not like I'm on this huge downwind board or something. So I was really impressed by that. Winging, stupid easy to get on foil. And the big light bulb for me was looking at their lineup. I was like, I probably want the 66 for good conditions, but the 77 ultimately is what I'd probably want to travel with. But after riding the 88, I think that I'd take the 88. There's no reason why I can't size up, because it's so sleek and light. It feels smaller than it is when you're on foil. So why wouldn't you have that light wind advantage? Why wouldn't you use that, para-wingable board, even prone or foil drive? Like, there's no reason that I can't do anything on the 88 that I can't do on the 77. It's just easier in the crappier conditions. So I think for me it'd be the 88, surprisingly. I mean, I thought 66 or 77 as a travel, but I'm honestly more like 88 as a travel for me. It's a utility you know, no matter what the trip throws at you, you're going to be ready to roll.
And you've dropped some kilos too, so.
Yeah, I'm like 190 now, so I'm not in the super heavyweight club anymore. But yeah, you know, it's being practical about the conditions. You know, if you're going somewhere and you know it's going to be blowing 30 every single day with overhead waves, like, yeah, I'd probably take the 66. But, you know, most of the time you don't have a guarantee of that when you're planning a trip. Even if it's a great location, you know, you can get skunked. So
I would agree with you. I mean, the combination of the lightweight construction, the shape and design, you know, the 77 would probably be the one that I would take. I was leaning,
Makes sense, yeah.
I was leaning towards smaller too, but I think if you want the broad range of wind and conditions, because I put this baby to test right off the bat. I mean, didn't even ride it. It was blowing probably 22 to 30, big waves, very cold water.
Yep.
And blown away. I mean,
Yeah, stoked.
I don't have the footage though because I was testing a new waist mount camera with an Insta360 on it, and somewhere halfway down, the camera fell off.
In the abyss.
Yeah, I mean, I was like,
Neptune wanted that footage, man.
and of course, it's some of the best riding I've ever had because it didn't get captured on film.
Naturally, you're back flipping off
Oh, dude,
downwind
it was-
swell.
I was like,
Yeah.
Waka excited about, no, seriously, I was like impressed. Right away, I was able to get on the waves, ride the waves. I was on a real surfy foil. I was riding, I think I've been trying out the new, not the new, but Norse 800, I think it was 830, their SF foil, and very, very surfy. So I was taking this board in conditions that were, like I said, were about chest high to shoulder high, surfing the wave and not having many issues. Now, the length's a little longer than I'm used to doing in those conditions, so I did hit the nose a couple times, and I went off over the side, but again, that's more my navigation, getting used to the board, so it's not a knock on the board whatsoever.
Also, if you move your mast up a little bit, it probably would have.
The mast, I think I set it a
yeah.
little bit further back, brought it up a little bit more to bring myself forward, but again, did not hold me back. I mean, to get on a board the first time and to put myself into a downwind position, you know, session in big waves, high wind, you know, 3 meter wing, and feel comfortable says a lot about the board. I mean, I get to ride a lot of boards, a lot of different combinations, and so to be able to get a board right out of the box, go out and ride and feel like, this feels familiar,
really good, yeah.
feels good, it's got great performance. I was like, wow.
Pretty amped
this
on
is
it,
something
yeah.
I can get behind.
And one thing I'm thinking about as we talk about the board and how it performs and all that, at no point have we said asterisks for a folding board
No.
or for a travel board. This is legitimately a really good board, period. If it didn't fold in half, we'd still be excited about it.
I'd have one.
So that's saying something. And then the fact that it actually does that for travel or for storage or for, you know, transportation and stuff is awesome. It's next level. There's nothing in the industry I'm aware of that's going to compete with this. This is all there is if you want a board that does that and performs. In the past, you know, it's like, well, you got to pay up to bring your big board and you're probably going to get it dinged, so you better be ready to fix it when you get there, you know, or an inflatable, which solved the problem, but for more experienced riders, it's a pretty massive compromise on inflatable versus hardboard performance. So good on Waka for seeing that, coming to the table with a brilliant solution, excellent follow through, quality. Gripes. What are we not happy with about this board, Mr. Jeff? I know there's not a lot, but let's get into it.
There is not a lot. Again, don't drop a screwdriver straight on it. That's my fault, not the board's fault.
Yeah, any carbon board in the industry, if it fell like it did for you, you're going to get a little chip. Carbon isn't the best for impact. It comes with a nice travel bag, day bag that you can use, so I would advise to use that.
Yeah, and along those lines, I think black carbon looks killer.
Yeah, clear carbon.
Very
They're
nice.
showing you the quality of the construction.
Yep, looks really good, but it will show some surface scuffs because it's black. Naturally, with the coating they put on here, you're going to see a little white.
Get a little clear nail polish or a little clear satin spray.
Yeah,
and
this
you
is
can
being nitpicky.
If you're being picky about
not
it.
talking about anything with the performance of it.
Yeah.
I have to reiterate what you said. I wouldn't even think this is a split board when I ride it. Right. If someone didn't tell me that, I think they did a nice job with their color here, the scheme. It makes it look like you can't even see the seam.
Yeah, there's no flex in this. I was pumping hard on this thing on a big foil, putting all of my 190 pounds into it. You don't feel the seam, the hinge at all. So I think they killed it on that point. And then just the rest of it really rounds it off and makes it a board you want to ride rather than just a board that you have to ride because you're traveling with it. And I think that's the big point.
I think we covered the major that kind of putting it together.
Again, I would like these screws at an angle so you can get a full turn and quickly zip this thing together.
Resetting it every time you're turning it. But I think once you get used to that,
a long wrench with a small small L on it, I think you can probably get full turns on it.
And that would only be an issue if you were wanting to put it together and take it off every time you're using the board. I put it together. I have a big enough car I can just slide it in and out. A big head turner. Like I said, when I pulled this out of the car, it took me about 30 minutes to get on the water or more because everyone was wondering about this board. It's definitely new, innovative, and
I was walking past the crew up by my house and chatting with them along the way, and no one said anything about it being a folding board, so incognito too. And they're like, oh, hey, what's your ride? And I'm like, oh, it's this new folding board for traveling. They're like, what? Where does it fold? So it's great. It rolls under the radar, and the performance, you definitely wouldn't know that it travels so easily and does that. And, last note, I think the price is totally fair. For a high carbon, quality board like this is, even without the folding mechanism, the price is pretty right. But the fact that it comes with a travel bag, that's probably worth about $150 if you had to buy it separate. And the fact that it has custom bags available, that's a really neat option. And then, the fact that it folds and provides a solution for that. If you're traveling 3 or 4 times a year, this board pays for itself.
I was just gonna say that a couple, because you can put this in the bag that it comes with, and you will not be dinged any extra whatsoever.
Yeah, in any of the sizes. In fact, in the people we've talked to that have traveled with these, they even haven't had issues putting a complete in a rolling travel bag because of that taper.
Nice.
It looks like kind of standard luggage, so they don't hassle you most of the time.
Keep it under 50 pounds.
Yeah, keep it under 50 pounds for sure. The weight's the big thing.
Yep.
And it's a fairly regularly sized luggage, even in the big bag. So I think that's the key to easy travel, man. Just make it easy. Don't stick out like a sore thumb.
Another justification of this too is if you own a boat, or you have 2 places. Some of you could travel, in the wintertime to somewhere warm instead of having 2 boards or having one, at your house or where you vacation. You can have 1 board and travel with it, and
or even if you don't want to travel, I mean, you can ship it. When you fold these in half, they're no longer oversized boxes. Yeah. So even if you're shipping it because you don't want to bother with it at the airlines, it's still a lot more palatable to get it across the country or to another country or wherever you're going. But like you said, yachties or anyone that has a boat that travels around, you don't want to have to compromise on performance for an inflatable. This thing's the ticket, and putting it together is a lot faster than inflating an inflatable board too.
Yeah, and speaking of boards, they've kind of started to line up. I think they go as low as 66.
Yep.
Currently go up to
111, I believe.
Right around there. I think they fit the good segment of boards for people looking for their second board. I think this would be check off the box for that. Could a beginner use this board?
I think on the biggest size.
The bigger sizes?
Yeah, bigger sizes, assuming you have decent wind, you're an athletic person. Yeah. If you've never done a board sport or wind sport in your entire life and you can't hardly stand on 1 foot, maybe you want to find a wider board to start with. But I think, the bigger sizes are definitely boards that people can grow into and enjoy. And they cover a nice wide range of application. I think for most people, if you're committed to traveling with a bunch of wing gear, you're probably beyond the beginner stage. So definitely look at something around your weight in kilograms, I would say, as a travel board is a nice place to be. You can go smaller than that for sure if you want to, but you will lose some of that light wind ability, some of that para-wing performance as that sport grows. But maybe if you're into prone riding, I mean, if I was just doing prone and wing, I'd probably grab the 66.
And you might be wondering about the name. I hope I don't get this wrong, but Waka, I think, stands for a way of passage on water or going over water, a type of canoe, I believe.
Yeah. So apparently it's Nigel's from New Zealand, so that is part of their history, is how they came to New Zealand on these boats on the water, and those are called Waka, from what I'm told. I understand. I haven't done the research myself because I'm too lazy, but we'll take his word for it because he knows better than we do. So
yeah,
it's a pretty cool name, aptly named with travel and being a watercraft. I think that was pretty cute.
Yeah, I think, again, you can tell that we're stoked on the product. It definitely checked off a lot of boxes for me. Again, great idea. Something we're having. This is the first that we're seeing. There's potential that maybe elements of this might cross over and other brands maybe looking into this idea, but right out of the gate,
we'll see. I'm not sure if they need to. This is such a good board.
Yeah.
They kind of nailed it on the first hit. And again, the goal for this from the start was uncompromising performance and travelability. And check, man. They nailed it. I don't really have hardly anything bad to say about it. It's killer. I don't want to change it. I just want to ride it.
No. So when can you get these? We're looking at having these.
Fingers crossed,
August. So we'll be able to have the lineups and sizes. Feel free, you can give us a call, send us an email or chat.
Yeah, jump on the website. We'll have them for pre-order here. So if you can't wait to get one, you want to have one of the first ones to come into the States or anywhere really, go ahead and punch in a pre-order and we'll get them to you as soon as they roll up. So hopefully that all arrives on schedule. No major hiccups in the import process, but I would say realistically, April, September is really where we're going to be delivering these boards.
Did you say April?
Sorry, August, September.
August,
the
September.
A's messed me up.
That's all right.
August, September.
Yeah.
Early fall, people.
There you go. Unfortunately, we're going to have to give up our demos here pretty soon, but hoping to get one back. That's how much I like this board. I think it's something, again, to show the local guys. I think these are going to be, again, a hot item, something that's very portable. So, again, hit us up if you have questions. We're more than happy to help you out with sizing. And enjoy the stoke.
Yeah, schedule some time to talk if you're going to call and talk about these, because we're really amped on them. We can talk for days, and one of those items that comes around only like once every few years, really. Something that's truly innovative, something that really changes things for how we can ride or where we can ride or how we can do things. So yeah, super stoked on these. Can't wait to bring them to you guys and see where they take us around the world.
Well, it's also got these nice straps, so you can put actually put a wing full of weapons in there if you want on the outside, or
yeah, I bet you could ride 50 miles with that on your back.
do a downwind,
Mr. Jeff.
Do a downwinder, drop my bike off, and
dude, foil marathon. That's what I want to see. I want to see Mr. Jeff downwind from Muskegon to Grand Haven and then ride back.
I'll do that.
Go, Jeff, go!
Now we're getting really kooky.
You can do it, Jeff. Here, let me give you some water.